Hello my friends, welcome to Painting with Harold again. Thank you for joining me. Today we'll start out with our 16 by 20 canvas. I already got our thin even coated liquid white on it. Our colors today will be titanium white, phthalo blue, alizarin crimson, Van Dyke brown, sap green, cad yellow, Indian yellow, yellow ochre, and the evil bright red. Excuse me. Today, what I thought we'd try to do is something a little different. I'm going to do a two-part painting. I'm going to do the first part today, then come back and do the second part maybe tomorrow, to where it's not quite as long a video. And the goal here is to put us in a pretty sky, maybe with some clouds, and come in with a line of trees in the back, with another line of trees in front of those, and do some real pretty fall colors, and put us a little border at the bottom of the trees, a bank on the other side of a little lake. And then we'll come back in and do, maybe tomorrow, do the lake and some reflections, and maybe put us in a couple bigger trees, and whatever else we feel like it needs, we'll put in the second go round. With that said, we're gonna go right into a little bit of phthalo blue, just enough to stain the canvas, very little on the brush. We'll come up and start in our corners. We always start in our corners because we want our corners darker. We're trying to get your eye led to the middle of your painting. And the eye always seems to want to go to the lighter spots for some reason. But all I'm doing here is just using those little X strokes, or figure 8 strokes. That's what Nick Haken calls them. The little figure of 8. But it's just to slow it down. It's just it is actually a figure 8, and it's actually an X. So technically both are correct. But what it does, that little stroke, it keeps you from creating a blob of paint somewhere. Like if you were to load your brush and come up here and just start, you get big blobs of paint where that brush first touched. And if you use that brush to where you don't have to lift it off the canvas with that liquid white on it, it'll blend those colors out. Now that's not to say it's easy to go back and blend it. That's why you kind of want to be careful when you're applying your paint, to maybe start out with those little X strokes, because it's actually blending your paint better for you. And what we did right there, we just got us a little dark spot up here, but it don't look bad. I mean, it really don't. It's nothing we can't live without. And we'll go back in, pick us up a little more. And this time we're going to go over into our sap green and touch it just a little, and then bring it back to the blue. Put just a little flavor of green in that blue. And then let's come down here. I want a little more blue than that. you can see on the canvas how that green's mixing with the blue. And that is perfectly fine, because this is going to be water. And water will have a green color to it at times. Now if you get too much green, or you think it's too much, I'll show you a little trick here that you can always go back and... But the key here on your initial color is to pull it in even strokes from the side in to the middle, and just leave you a little spot in the middle there that it's open. And what that'll do is it'll create a shimmer of light that's going across your water for you a little later. But now if you get a spot that's just like way too, which down at the bottom it don't matter. You always want your bottom darker. You want it lighter as it goes up. And right the opposite in the sky, you want it darker to come down to light. You want your water darker going up into light. But you can pick you up a little white. It don't take a lot of this, and you can go just put it on your palette, just a little white paint, and take your brush and tap into it, and then come back over that color and just start blending it out. And it'll lighten that green and that blue up at the same time, and it'll help blend them, and it'll make you two lighter colors. As you can see now, that took on one lighter color. It's actually the color I was looking for to start with. I got a little happy with that green. I put a little much in it to start with. So basically what we did right there was we had a happy little accident, and we went back and fixed it. And it happens. I mean, it's just the way it is. Now we'll knock all of this color out. And for you that don't know, knocking the color out means taking a paper towel and rubbing your brush across it, removing some of the color. And we're taking very gently, come from the top, down. And we'll just very gently start blending these colors together. Now you can see what's happening right here, where we're trying to leave that sheen of light. As you're blending, you can see it filling in. So when you see it trying to go away, you can stop and save it from going away completely, like so. And then we'll knock some of that color out, and we'll go back up to our sky. We'll start down here, and this time we'll blend up into our sky, and just a real soft blend is all it needed. And just like that, we have a sky started, and we have our water started. We'll take this 2-inch brush and we'll wash it right quick. It's not going to be a whole lot of dirty enough brushes today, because of the way we're going to do this. It's going to be a lot of one colors. Like when we go into the white to do our clouds, it's going to be a pretty cloudy sky today. Today we're gonna put some pretty big white puffy clouds up there. And we're gonna do that with a 1-inch brush. And we're just gonna take our 1-inch brush and tap it straight into our titanium white. We're going to come over here and just start with some circles, little small circles. And just anywhere you want to put a little small circle, then that's where it should be, because it's your sky. I'd say about like that looks pretty. Then we'll go in, we'll load us up some more titanium white. We'll come on this side and we'll do us another one. You always want to keep that brush moving, because if you let that brush sit still, it's going to start making those real big cotton balls in the sky. And that's one thing that it'll show up quicker than anything in a painting when you're doing your clouds. You want to keep that brush moving, because it's those little circles that's actually making your cloud formation. That's a little hair right here we'll take off. And then if you wanted to do some little distant clouds here, you can. But now I'm going to tell you, before you do, there'll be trees in here covering all of them up. So if you want some clouds, I try to keep my whitest parts of my clouds. I try to keep them up here as high in the sky as you can, because if not, they're going to get covered up and there's a good chance you may not see them. But you work on your formations on your clouds however you want them to look, because the top of them is going to be your whitest, and because we come back and we're going to blend the bottom out. As a matter of fact, we're fixing to do that now. We'll knock all the color out of this brush, get that white out. Then we'll take our clean 2-inch brush that we just washed. We'll come up to the bottom of these and keep that brush moving. Little small circles. You want to blend out the bottom very softly. Just come in here and blend out the bottom. Just keep your brush moving. And then come in, fluff them up. And then very gently pull across, very gently. And just like that, we've created a sky with some pretty white clouds in it. Then we can wash both of those brushes. I think what I want to do, how I want to do these trees, is I want some trees in the back, kind of in the distance, but I don't want everything in the distance like it's hundreds of miles away in this painting. I just want everything across the lake, and I still want you to be able to see it. So what we'll do is we will take us some Van Dyke Brown, about that much, and about that much green, And I'm saying about that much because I don't have nothing to measure with. I'm just eyeballing it. And we'll take this brown and the green and mix them together on our palette here. Now anytime you mixing brown and green together, you end up with a green, but it's kind of an olive drab green. It'll gray down a lot. Brown has a tendency to gray a lot of colors down. But they're both natural colors, so you don't have to really worry about it. But now, even though this color is not going to be miles and miles away, we still want it to be a little lighter. So we'll take and add some white to it. And what that's going to do is, it's going to, well, I'll just show you here on my knife. I'll show you on the palette. You can see here what we ended up with now is it ends up pulling that color to a lighter olive drab, and that's basically the color we're going for right now for these back trees. But we're going to pick us up a brush, and today I'm going to start with the little oval brush, the little oval foliage brush, and I'm going to tap right into the color we just made. Determine where you want to start your trees. That's, I guess, your biggest task right now is where do you want your first trees coming in at. I'm going to come in from this side. I'm going to come down the canvas. I don't know, maybe what, the distance of the ferrule there. So about right there. I'm just going to come in right there, and I'm going to come straight down. About the distance of the brush and the ferrule together. About that far. About like that. That's all I want. Now, keeping that in mind, you can pretty much draw yourself an imaginary line across here. And that way it'll kind of help you keep all this symmetrical more or less without causing a whole lot of grief later. But with that color right there, you can come in now and just start going in where you want to go from there. I mean, you can go higher, or you can come over. You know, you can have one tree growing out. You just want to maintain tree shapes across here as you go. And if you want to run one completely off the canvas, well, that's fine too. I mean, at this point, you paint whatever you want to paint, and you paint it however you want to paint it. There is no right and wrong right now, because what we're doing basically, or all we're doing basically, is we're just creating a little wood line back here that's got some trees growing on it that you'll be able to see from across the lake. And it's a simple little process. I mean, anybody can do it. It's nothing hard here. All it is just tapping. A lot of times we get caught up in making trees and bushes, and we get scared that we're not going to do something right. And the main thing is, right now, you really can't do it wrong. When you come back to highlight, that's when you start getting your shapes, because you're adding color over your darks, and that's when you start getting that illusion of color just popping out here and there, making all the different color leaves, and the direction of the leaves and the limbs. And with doing this right here, you're not committed to one particular tree. I mean, you got different, just as many different trees up here as you want right now. And I know it don't sound right, but it's true. You can make that look like 10 trees, or you can make it look like 110 trees. It's all how detailed you want to get. But that's basically all you got to do for the first run, is just come across. Now, we didn't put a lot of paint up there. We didn't gob it on. As if gob it on is a word. I don't know if gob it on is a word or not. But we didn't just pile paint up there. We didn't have to. What am I trying to say here? The color was effective. We did what we wanted to do because we used an effective color. That's what I'm trying to say. Whenever you take a color that's different over a color, you can get away with stuff. But now you can't come back with that same color and put another row of trees in here without just putting a lot of paint on and be able to see a difference in the color to make these trees look like they're further back. You just can't do that. It won't work. So what we have to do is, we'll go ahead and clean this brush now. But what we'll do is, in the process, is we'll come in and we will put a very little white on our brush, about like so, and we'll come up and we'll just start tapping out the bottom across here. And that's all we're doing, is just tapping out the bottom. And you can see, the more you tap and start upward toward the tops, you can see it working. So we don't want to go too high up, but what we do want to do is we want to create a little misty effect back here, because we want to sell the illusion that there's a lot going on back here that we don't know about. And there actually is a lot going on back there we don't know about. Now, we can pick us up a little more of the Van Dyke Brown and bring it out and just put it anywhere on your palette. And grab a little of the white, mix it in with it, just to get you a light brown color. And a little bit of the bright red. It don't take a lot of the bright red, but we do want some to give that kind of a pinkish brown color. because that white and red's gonna mix. Then we'll pick up our script liner brush. We'll carry it into the thinner and then into the color we just made. Now you want this thinner to thin this paint down to the consistency of water, and you want to take that brush and just roll it around in that thinner. I mean, load it up, really get it full of paint. And then when you go to take it out of the thinner, just roll it around in you. Just take your fingers and roll it and pull it out of the paint, and it'll load it up all the way to the tip. And then when you come up to go to making your trunks, you can do little nervous tight trunks. They don't have to be straight, and they actually look better if they're not straight, because not all tree trunks in the wild grow straight. Not to say that you can't do a straight one. You can, because Mother Nature gets it right sometimes, and she can make one look as straight as a good carpenter can. But that's all you want to do, is come in and just put you in a few trunks. And a few branches to make it look like you got trees in the distance back there. And if you get one or two that don't look right, well, just keep in mind that you're coming back with highlights. And if you run across one that, don't look right and you want to kill it with your highlights later, well, you can. That's kind of the beauty of trees. Trees and rocks and sometimes clouds, a whole lot of different things in a painting will cover up more happy accidents than you can imagine. Trees are notorious for it. A tree will let you get away with a lot of stuff. You didn't hear me say that. I didn't see it. But just like that, I wanted to go and add in a few little trunks and branches. Now, clean your script liner brush, or I clean mine. You don't have to clean yours until you're ready to clean it. But now that brush that we were using, the same little round brush, I'm gonna go ahead and wash it right quick. And I'm gonna put just a little drop of thinner on there. Not a lot, just a little. And I'm going to go into my cad yellow, and that's the only color I'm going to get on here right now is cad yellow. I don't want any other color on here. And I'm just tapping it into the brush. Now I know I'm going to say the corner of this brush, and that may sound crazy because it's a round brush, but if you've ever used this brush, you'll know exactly what I mean. This brush forms a corner. Right there. There's my corner. But you want to come up, once you get your paint on your brush, and just start doing your little highlight touch. You know, to where it's just a very light touch, and you don't want to kill all your green or your darks. Just be careful not to kill all your darks. And you work your way across here, and you can kind of pick out about where you want one of these color trees. If you want two run side by side, that's fine. I like to skip and put different variations up here. Like if I got one here, I'll come over here and do one. And just like so, you just don't want to kill all your dark. Something about like it. Then you can skip and come right in here and make you a little smaller one. About like so. And the one thing you'll notice as you go to highlighting these trees up here is you're going to start picking up some of that dark color, and that's perfectly fine, because all it'll do is add a little green. It'll add a little green tint to your yellow, and that's not a big deal. Just don't kill all your dark while you're highlighting. About like that is all you need for the first round of color. And we will knock that color out. Then our next color we'll get is, we're going to pick up just a little bit more of the thinner. Don't take much. It don't take much thinner at this point at all to do this. But we're going to pick us up a little bit of the cad yellow, and this time we're going to bring it into our Indian yellow. We're going to mix those two colors together right here on the brush. And when you're doing your highlights on your trees, a lot of times, and you go to brush mixing, it helps because your brush goes to picking up all these colors, and you'll get a variety of different colors here and there that I don't think you could have created with that knife by mixing it with the knife. I don't think you could. That turned out real pretty. You come up and go to highlighting this color, and you're doing the same thing here that we did with the cad yellow. We just picked out a spot to make us a tree, and you just want to keep it to where you don't kill all your dark. And remember, oh Lord, my birds must be hungry. Sorry about that, y'all. I own 4 cockatiels, and when they want attention, they have no respect. We'll do another one right here. But what I was saying is, remember your trunks and your branches. If you had some that you wasn't happy with, right now is the time to maybe work on those. Now, we'll knock out some of that color. And you don't have to wash the brush every time. When I say knock out the color, all you do is just get your paper towel and rub your brush in it. Just pull out some of that color. And this time I'm going to take and put a little more thinner. Just a little. It don't take a lot. And I'm going to come into yellow ochre. And I'm going to pull the yellow ochre down a little bit. Tap straight into it. Load the brush up real good. pick up a little cad yellow, bring it over. It sounds like I'm painting outside, don't it? Now this cad yellow and yellow ochre mixed together give you a golden, real pretty golden color. We'll bring it up. We'll tap it right in. You can see it's a little different than the Indian yellow. Then our big tree here will end up being the golden color. Just like so. And then we'll let our last one be. Same thing. Just like so. Excuse me. And what we ended up here with was a row of trees that have a real pretty fall color to them. And let's put a little more right here to bring that down. Now we'll take and wash this brush. Well, I'll tell you what, we'll go ahead and wash all the brushes right quick. Okay, and through the magic of TV, we have all our brushes clean. So now we're going to start on our next row of trees. And what we want to do is, we want to come in. We want to grab us some Van Dyke Brown, just like before. We want to grab some of the sap green, just like before. Uh-oh, I broke my knife. Wow. Well, I guess we'll take the other. And this time we're going to add a little alizarin crimson. And we're going to add some phthalo blue. And we're going to mix all these colors together. And we're going to mix these colors right together with the color that we made earlier that had that little bit of white in it. There's not a lot of that color left, but even if there was more than what I had left, that little bit of white is not going to affect it any, because adding the blue is going to want to give this a gray, almost a black effect, because alizarin crimson and sap green make a brown, and we adding that brown to Van Dyke Brown, which is a darker brown. Because the alizarin crimson, if you added a little more of it than you do the sap green, it'll give you a reddish type brown, and it's real pretty. But then when you go and put your blue in with the brown, you get a black, almost a black color. Put enough of it, you'll get a dark black. But now this color is still going to maintain some green. It'll be a dark green. And if you want to see what color you got, you can wipe it on your paper towel, or you can pick up a little white and mix it up to the side. but you'll barely be able to see that green. Now I want to pick up the same brush that we used, our little brown brush, and go straight into that color. Just load your brush up with it. And just like before, we're going to come up here and we're going to make us another row of trees. Now, if you remember, we came in a while ago with that 2-inch brush and we softened the bottom out. We're going to try to work around that some to leave a couple spots to where that's coming through. And I'll show you when we do one, I'll show it to you, I'll point it out. But on the trees that we made, we want to come up on them just a little bit. Just a little bit. And start working your next tree shape. And you want to come down to almost your horizon, where you save this white line across here. And then we can put that imaginary line again. Just come in here and give ourselves a reference line. And we want to put us a tree in on this side. And these trees, just like before, you do them however you want to do them. Make them, give them the shape you want them to have. Just don't have them all looking the same. Don't have a tree that's the same height and the same shape as the tree next door to it, because that's just not how trees grow in nature. But if you'll see right here where this tree is beside that tree, you can see through it to that mist back in the back. You can see a little of it, and it makes it look like it's something going on back there. And then you can come over here with this tree, and you can do the same here. Just kind of, when you're working it around, leave a little of that, leave a little hole here. You can see it where that mist is coming through, and it's just pushing that line of trees that we made earlier. It's just pushing it back. And you don't want to go up real high on these trees. You don't have to, not to get that effect. I mean, you just a little bit. Because that's the beauty about being able to change color. You know, when you always talk about a color change or a difference in colors, that's basically what you mean is right here, using a darker color in front of a lighter color to give it a whole new perspective, more or less. It just it's effective. I mean, it does what it's supposed to do. And then right here we left a little wider gap. You can see that. You can see that tree limb coming over, and just add another one if you want to. Right here. You know, just little tree shapes. That's all they are. As long as you work on the tree shapes, kind of one at a time, they won't get away from you. And it's easier to make them look like trees if you go and build them one at a time. Whereas if you try to come in and do 20 or 30 at one time, it gets harder that way. Just be careful and not have them all the same height and the same thickness to where they all look the same. It's okay to have a short one. Now, just like that, we have our second little line of trees. And we can take the brush and we can knock a lot of this paint out. That brush was pretty loaded, so I'm having to knock quite a bit out. But that's what we want to do, get it out. Now, we already got us a color made up for our trunks, but what we want to do is we're going to add a little more white to it this time, because it's we definitely want it to show. And it's going over a darker color. But we're going to take and dip it into the thinner just like always, and bring it out and roll it around in that color, thin it down. Then we'll come up, and we'll just start putting this in some basic little trunks. That's all we got to do. And if you get to a point where you see it's not pulling off that brush, get you a little more thinner. Just put you in some trunks and branches wherever you think you need them. Just like so. Now, I don't know if y'all saw that or not, but while I was doing that, I had a drop of that color come off, and it landed in my water in a couple of places. Now, let me show you how to fix that without a whole lot of problems. You take your color that you were using, just put a little of it on the brush and come up and tap where that just happened at. And then get you just a tad bit of white. Just a tad bit, it don't take much at all. And come up here and just rub it out. And that color will just fade right into your painting, just like so. You'll never know it was there. Now we want to highlight these trees, and to do that, well, we're going to need our brush. So we'll go ahead and give it a clean it. And we'll use a couple different colors this time, but we'll also be using the same colors. Like the first color we're going to always use is We're going to go right into that cad yellow. And it's a little easier this time because now we see where we got cad yellow at. So we can come over here knowing we don't have any right there. And we can start highlighting right there with our cad yellow this time. And we just want to do it the same way. Just lightly tap. And don't kill all the darks. Get just a little thinner on your brush. Come into your cad yellow again. And look for your spot that it would look good at. Because you don't want the colors clashing. Just like that. You can get you some Indian yellow. Now you're going to pick up more dark color this time than you did earlier. So you're going to get, it's going to get green on you quicker, which that's fine. It happens. There's not a lot you can do about it. We'll come out here and we'll put us one with our Indian yellow color in it. We have to get some a little bit more thinner on the brush. Come in and just don't kill all your dark. Just like so. Now the further you go down and you start getting into that dark, just let it go. Let it fade away into that dark. You don't need a whole lot of color down at the bottom because sunlight's not gonna penetrate way down in there like it's doing out here. That sunlight's gonna basically disappear down at the bottom. And we've got a couple things to do down at the bottom anyway. So as you progress toward the bottom and it starts getting darker, that's fine. That just looks natural. That's what happens. And pick us up a little of our yellow ochre. We'll do one of them right here. And we'll do another one right here. Just don't kill all the dark. I'm going to pick us up a little of that alizarin crimson. Bring it up here into our yellow ochre. Make us a real pretty peach color. That'll give you a real pretty fall color. It'll just stand out. That's a real pretty color. Real pretty fall color. We'll put some more of that right here. We'll have a couple of these. Then we can take some bright red and put us what Bob used to call little firecrackers in there. But we won't leave these firecrackers solid red. We'll come up and pop them in some cad yellow and try to turn them a little orange. Get us an orange going on. Just like so. That turned out real pretty. Put us one right here at the bottom of that one. Put us one right here. That turned out real good. I like the way that looks. Now, let's knock some color out of our brush. And those trees just kind of mix with the other trees. This one is bothering me. I don't know if you can see that one or not, but that one's bothering me. So I think to fix it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and make it a solid orange. I can't deal with that. It's not showing up the way I wanted it to. So we're just going to change it completely. Yeah, I like that better. And then these are okay, because we don't have to have a whole lot of definition in them, or a whole lot of detail. Now, what we want to do next is we want to go back into, with our 2-inch brush, go back into our white, and tap that white on the brush. It don't have to be a lot, just enough to know what you're doing. And then come up to the bottom. Stay out of the color of the tree color if you can. If you get into tree color, it's not the end of your painting. Right here, I know I'm not going to be able to because I brought that green down a little too far. But what I'm going to try to do is, my first couple taps, I'm going to try to stay right at the bottom of that line. Just right at the bottom. And you can see how it's dirtying that up. You can see that. See how it made that dirty color across there? And that's basically what I wanted it to do. I wanted it to put a real dark, dirty color right there. And then I want to come in and just lightly brush this color across as straight as I can, but I still want to stay out of my color up top. And I'll show you what I'm going for here in just a second. The color that we use to make the trees with is that color. So I'm going to take this brush and lay it sideways, and I'm going to tap the side of it into my color that I used to make the trees, just like so. And I want to come up at the bottom here and just start tapping across. Just tap across at the bottom of these trees. All the way across. Down to about right there. Not very far at all. Just a little bit. Now, you can see what happened back here. It gave me a dark at the bottom of these trees, but at the same token, some of the trunks where we pulled them down, some of those trunks are showing. And it makes them look like they're just standing back there. Almost like you could walk into the woods from here. But now with that brush, put it in the thinner for now. And we want to pick us up another 2-inch brush. And we want to go into, well, we're going to put some out. I have muddied up all my cad yellow. I can't believe it. Wow. I'll just put some right here. Just put out a little cad yellow. It's not going to take a whole lot for what we're doing here. We're just going to do the same basic stroke that we just did right there. We're going to do it back here. But we're going to let this be our highlight for it. And we're going to make it look like grass. Tap that 2-inch brush into our cad yellow. And come back up. And it's going to start turning green on you because this color back here had green in it. And it had blue in it. We just want to come across and just lightly tap us on some grass, just under that line we made. Just barely tapping. Just like so. And you can put just a little thinner on your brush. Go back and get you some more. You can see what's happening right here. It's trying to mud up. It's not wanting to sit on top of it the way I want it to. So we're going to come back and fix it. We want this paint to sit on top of this grass that we made. Or this grass that we're making. We just want it to sit up there like it's just meant to be there. At this point, we don't want it mixing and riding down into it. And it'll give us a couple different contours in our bank over here. And then just like so, we'll bring it all the way across and kind of close it up. And then we want to pick us up a fan brush. Now on this fan brush, we can come in and we can pick us up a little sap green. Let's put a little thinner on our fan brush too. Let's do that. Pick us up some sap green and come into this color, into our cad yellow. And it don't take a lot of color to do what we're fixing to do. But we want some cad yellow and green on our fan brush. We just want to come up at the top of our grass here and just kind of touch with the corner of the brush. Just kind of come across here and touch in different little spots. And you don't have to get real tall in places, just enough, and leave yourself some dark down here. Make sure you don't cover up all your dark. But just come across that real lightly. With just the corner of that fan brush. And create yourself some little bushes sticking up here and there. Just leave yourself some dark under them trees. Because if you don't have dark under these trees, the little bunny rabbit ain't gonna have nowhere to hide. He'll run into nowhere. And he got to have him a place to hide. You never know when old fox may try to get him. That's basically all we got to do, is create that illusion of something taller back there along that bank that's taller than our regular grass. And then we can drop that into the bucket. And now come back up and just lightly tap that color that you just put in. Just tap it up and give yourself a little grass line back there. Just very lightly. Just like so. And that's all you got to do. And you've created a little bank. Now if you wanted to soften that down even further, one trick you can do with a small brush, like a filbert, just a regular filbert brush, is you can come up and you can take that filbert brush and just touch that color. And you don't have to make any shapes. You don't have to do anything other than just touching it. And by touching it here and there like that, you break it up, and it creates a leaf effect, I guess is what you would call it. But it creates an effect that makes it look like it's, to me it just looks leafy. And then you can tap out where it goes along the bottom. Now I hope that shows up on camera. But like I said, we're going to split this video up anyway. We're going to stop right here. If tomorrow, when we come in and look at this, if it don't look, because everything changes when the paint dries a little. And if this don't look the way we want it to, we'll come back in and add a little more color. But as long as we don't kill the depth under here to where it looks like you can see into the woods, that's the effect where we're going for. And we'll come in with some bigger trees on this side of the lake tomorrow. We'll actually doctor up the lake. We'll put us a little bank in. We got quite a few things we can do to it tomorrow. And this is an easy painting. I basically want to split it up into 2 sessions so that one session don't take a whole lot of time. You get bored watching it. I know I fall victim to it. You know, I'll be watching somebody paint and I'm like, you know, I'm ready to paint. I'm ready to do it myself. So, thank y'all for joining me. We'll fix it up tomorrow and we'll do some more stuff to it. Don't know what I will do to it yet, but when we get done, it'll be something we'll be proud of. Thank y'all for joining me. I really do appreciate it. My channel has not been discovered yet, but thanks to you guys that are watching, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you. Like it, subscribe it, share it. Tell your friends, and tell your mom and them about me if you want to. See you guys tomorrow. God bless.